what Vincit might do here against XROCK, just knowing they aren't quite as familiar with this team compared to a lot of the others in this event. But if I had to guess, XROCK is probably not going to be too keen on playing Black Widow again. They looked a little bit shaky on it in their first showing, so I probably would avoid it if I was them, but I think they had the same problem on both maps included in that first series. But it is going to be Vincit who gets the first ban here. Wouldn't be surprised to see them maybe take something like Eagle Eye off the table, or even a sub base. They don't like the close quarters maps here, so it is sub base coming out early on as the ban. And for XROCK, I'd say it's kind of up in the air. I don't think there's anything big they could take away that Vincit's not comfortable on, but I am curious to see if they'll leave Eagle Eye in the mix. But hey, a compound ban, interesting.
All right, this is the series. It's Eagle Eye into Mexico. This is the one, although it's probably not going to be Vincit to pick either of those maps, so maybe maps 2 and 3. Let's see what Vincit decides to pick here. Oh, never mind. Ooh. It is going to be Mexico.
Well, it's not Eagle Eye into Mexico, so you're not really quite 100% there. It might be Mexico into Eagle Eye, though. I don't know about that, though, from XROCK. I mean, Ankara's on the table, right? And that's a map that they were happy to pick against ranking. It's a bit of a staple within the Chinese scene. I can imagine it's definitely part of the conversation at the moment for XROCK. But, well, I mean, I don't know. Did you check the script and you just read it wrong? Because Mexico and Eagle Eye is what we are going to end up getting.
I think this is a smart move actually from XROCK, seeing if Vincit might be a little bit uncomfortable on it. And for Vincit, Ankara's an equally strong map, so they want to maybe catch them with a curveball here. And this could be a really good map pool we get out of this. Maybe nowhere close to the standard one. I actually think these are the 2 lowest picked maps overall, but I think it suits this series quite well, and it's going to make for a pretty interesting series as well, because it's all close quarters fighting on both of these maps really, and could leave a wide open potential for an interesting third map here. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes all the way to Ankara for that map 3. Both teams are still pretty comfortable there, and I would be surprised if either one was aggressive to ban it out, but it could be an interesting way to close the series.
Let's get rid of Port. No, it's going to be Black Widow from Vincit. Kind of interesting after what we saw from XROCK, but either way, going to take that off the table. Might just have that Ankara coming in as that third map, as you were expecting. But it is up to XROCK at the end of the day. Do they want to try the Port or just go into that standard Ankara
Surely it's
situation?
Not Port. Surely it's not Port. I think they banned Port out here, right? I mean, Vincit played Port against Anubis, looked pretty decent there, but there you go, a bit of a curveball, I think, from my perspective. Ankara was definitely one I expected XROCK to even maybe pick themselves. But they could have perhaps had a look at that Port map and thought, well, we know what Vincit likes to do, how they like to play. Let's float it as a map 3.
This is a weird set of maps.
This is, yeah. This is like really out toward the edges of the map.
I think it's the 3 least played.
Yeah,
I would say so.
It is. It's going to make it a tough one, I think, for actually XROCK more so than Vincit. I feel like Vincit has a little bit more comfort on this pool, so I feel like they actually did a really good job here in picking these out. But as we've seen, they're still up against a strong team here in XROCK, and I feel like they have to play like they're playing against an All Gamers or a Baisha, because as we saw in XROCK earlier on, they were not afraid to be aggressive in their opening match. They had a strong early lead, and if they've conquered the hurdles that caused them to slow down and not close that out quickly, they could still be looking at a really good map in this series, because even though they had close finishes, they had 8-4 starts on both of their first maps.
This is going to be a fun one regardless. I am very curious about this Mexico first pick. Did you guys expect this from the side of Vincit? I thought maybe they were going to avoid some of these close range maps, especially because if you pick it, you got to play Blacklist first. So you're going into this one saying, okay, we're going to try to bite the bullet early on.
Yeah.
And
I think
go from there.
That's one of the things for me. Like, I almost never expect a team to pick Mexico. If you get it in a series, I'm thinking maybe it's going to come through as the third map in the series, but it's a perfect point that if you do pick it, you do have to start on the less favorable side, and you can really kick off a best-of-3 series, especially if it's the first map, in a very awkward position. If you go down pretty heavily in that first half, sets your mental in a bad position to throw into the rest of the series. So a ballsy pick, I think, from Vincit. I certainly wasn't expecting it.
I feel like I kind of was here just because when I've seen them play regionally, Mexico is a really strong map in their pool. They're also a team that has a lot of success on that BL side compared to others. And if you can have a strong BL on this map, it's a really good time for your team. So I feel like this is a good way to potentially catch XROCK off guard. And I also know this is actually one that plays like a decent amount differently in the CFPL because of the gun differences. So I think this is another thing they might be taking as a factor in picking it, just because it's a map that transitionally is a lot harder, I think, to play internationally versus how they play it regionally for the Chinese teams, which is why you see some of the other Chinese teams kind of just ban it out pretty frequently.
It is also prudent to sort of mention that that is one of the better maps for Vasco, so at least regionally they have a team that kind of contests them pretty hard on Mexico, so you'd imagine they get pretty good practice on that map, and I guess we'll get to see the fruits of their labor as we're about to go into map 1 here against XROCK. XROCK, for their own right, don't look too perturbed by that fact. I thought they were looking a bit nervous in their first match, XROCK, but they seem a little bit calmer this time around.
Yeah, they were kind of like overexcited almost. Like a lot of, you know, Chow's doing the dance and the MVP thing, but also kind of on stage, a little bit hopping around in his seat. And yeah, you gotta play it calm, especially against a team like this. Vincit Gaming, very, very solid. So you never really know. Even if you do get a lead, they could potentially come back. I'm excited to see them on the blacklist side of this Mexico map, because if they start really well on blacklist on their map pick, that is Mexico, could immediately drain some of the confidence away from the side of XROCK. And I'm not sure how stable of a team they are. You know, the 3rd seed from China. We don't know all too much about them when it does come to playing up against some of these other global teams.
It is nice to see these two teams meeting, though, because they both have a similar story. I mean, XROCK taking down Q9 to be here, and then you have Vincit kind of blocking Vasco from being that other team here for Brazil. So I think this is the perfect matchup for these two teams. I just feel like the experience is the biggest question factor in XROCK, but you do have to look at their region and say, if you can make it out of the CFPL, it's probably a little bit harder than what Vincit had to go through to get here, but we'll see who can pull off this first map.
Well, here we go. The game is just about ready to get started. We got Mexico for map number 1, Eagle Eye for 2, and then Port for map number 3, which we might be meeting in this series. Let's see how it starts off, though, as we had some expectations earlier on today that were not met. I hope that these two teams will meet them, though, and we could get a very fiery competition to conquer.
It's interesting. You can see a couple of players there with a 4x3 setup, a couple with the native setup. And you always think about that as a possibility as well, when you're seeing players miss other enemies on their peripherals. Either way, though, we'll jump into game, and things kick off on Mexico, as they always do, with a smoke in mid. Although this is a little bit more aggressive from Vincit Gaming than what you might have normally expected to see. They push through that smoke and take mid control very fast.
Yeah, I like this approach, and it's kind of what worked so well for Kangarna in their match as well, not waiting for those smokes to dissipate, just taking control when you feel comfortable doing so. And now it's going to kind of let them dictate the pace for how this round plays out. They've got the mid control set up, but you can see here, XROCK, they're kind of putting a lot of extra attention on this waterway, trying to make sure they can block any push coming out of it, but Vincit, they're not really interested in committing just yet. They're wanting someone to peek into them here.
Yeah, I think taking mid control is a huge step on this map. If you could do it easily, it makes your next step so much more fluid, so much easier as well.
Oh,
just to execute onto a site, as it does look like they are looking at A.
Too slow, too slow. Chow's already made the big rotation through the sewer, and he's going to get behind them. They've got no idea. This should be a freebie for Chow, although timing almost awkward. Still gets the job done. One player down, spots a couple more headed in the direction of B. And even though they do allow Vincit Gaming straight into B, they've managed to pick up the player advantage. There's another one for Gia. Doubles down with the pistol, as is always the case for these snipers. Good on the pistols, and now just Yang to hold on to the B site as the rest of the rotation comes in, but he'll get it done solo. I think in the end he actually got helped out by Chow, but who let the truth get in the way of a good story. Great round for XROCK to kick things off.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that came down to just not paying attention to that flank, and They've got to know when you're up against a Chinese team. They're going to do that every single time. I call that one the Emzin Classic. He always used to do that every single opportunity he had. He would do it 5, 10 times a match. He didn't care. It was his favorite thing to do on this map, and now they've got to pay extra attention to that. And just the threat of that is going to keep them second-guessing every round moving forward.
I reckon you do it again. If you're Mr. Chow, you just do it again. Just send it. Don't worry about it.
I mean, GDSC was covering that angle. It's just the timing was off. Like, he left, and then 10 seconds later, Chow was going through. And they really needed to execute quicker, like you were saying, Elfish. Just, you know, you can't hang around mid forever. Yep. If you're not going to be watching your flank, then you got to make a move.
Like, it's the perfect round to do it again here, right? They're down a player already. Vincit have taken mid control. You know that there's probably not too much going on the extremities. But instead, they've tried to play it a little bit more standard here. So it's going to be the B hold, at least the attempted B hold. And Gia does start well with that sniper. He's going to be able to get himself another double kill, having a very good start to the map. The 2v2 brought quickly back to the 1v1. Yang, Borson on either side of this smoke. But Yang has allowed Borson into the site. Bomb plant is going to go down.
It's going to be a tough 1v1, but Borson, he's been hitting the shots all tournament long so far. A great player to have in this situation for his team. But Yang, he's already snuck onto the side. If he just taps the defuse, he could have a chance here. But Yang, he's checking everything very thoroughly here.
Tapped.
He's given some time to Borson to work with. He spots his shoulder on the corner of alleyway as well. Borson, he's got the information. He can shoot him through the ammo stacks as well, and Borson gets it done. And that's a huge round coming out of Vincit Gaming.
Well, we got a little timeout here.
This is very interesting.
Let's see if this is a... No, it's just a straight-up timeout.
I don't think
maybe it was a tech.
They don't hold the thing up if it's a tech timeout.
Yeah. Very interesting. I love that rotation from Borson. He knows that he's not really going to get on top of the bomb and tap it early, so he gets behind him. And then by the time he's tapping the bomb, it's like, well, I can see right through the ammo stack, and, you know, you probably didn't expect me to go all the way around. So, great play from Borson. I do think those pushes onto B with the smoke there just for coverage on the back of the, you know, that spawn area can be a little bit dangerous, especially with all the M4 play that we do see from the side of XROCK, but... yeah, worked out. They got around a little bit close there. But, you know, every round you can squeak through on the BL side, going to feel pretty good. As, yeah, just a real timeout after round 2. I'm not sure how to feel about that.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times you'll see it early if they've spotted something key they really want to address in their default setup. And I think that might be what happened here. Or maybe they were just anticipating losing 2-0 because of how they were playing and maybe preemptively called it a little bit too early, because I feel like Borson did kind of steal that one back. It did look like XROCK had a lot of advantages even in that second round to start it off. So we'll see exactly what they can do coming out of the pause, but maybe they've seen something we haven't here that they can adapt to quickly.
Yeah, very early timeout though. Still quite surprising, no matter which way you want to paint it. But we'll jump back into it. In saying that, what we've seen from XROCK so far has largely been in line with what they brought in the previous matchup. Gia, standout, Chow kind of having a little bit of impact here and there as well. So it seems to be the general makeup of the team. And not quite as aggressive or as fast of a push into mid this time from Vincit Gaming. They're going to respect that smoke.
Yeah, there's only so many times you can get away with it without getting some casualties along the way. And I think it's okay to just kind of play around slow after you played a couple fast and say, hey, maybe we can catch a guy being a little bit antsy. You know, maybe Chow goes through pretty quickly. As I say that, though, Vincit trying to poke on through a little bit. They're going to eat about a bajillion grenade damage, approximately. As it was perfect, all of them stacked over there trying to peek in. And 4 of them, yeah, pretty much a person's full health bar in damage.
Yeah, really good utility coming out from XROCK. Still no kills just yet, but it does force Vincit to rethink their approach here. They are going to be going for 4 through water. You can see Sunny playing the jump spot position on the long box, waiting for this push to come through. He's got the counter flash in hand. He should have a chance to spot Danimal. There you have it. He gets the spot. Now he can fall off, and they can set up for a pinch support if they'd like to do so. But this is where Vincit has really good adaptiveness. Most teams would have just full committed to that push. They know they've been spotted by Sunny, so they full reset as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So big time reset coming in here. Vincit, not too much time, but this is kind of, you know, Mexico standard. It can take a while to actually get these pushes to come in, but 4 guys from the side of XROCK on top of this A site. Vincit just trying to bounce through and go on towards B with 30 seconds left. GDSC as well, maybe looking for somebody who's about to rotate. Let's see how good his timing can be. As once again, the smokes are set up. Danimal trying to run on in and be the entry guy, but it is just a massacre as they run straight into 4 guns on the side of XROCK. And the 4 of them get taken out. 5 in total. Pretty much a perfect round going the way of XROCK.
Yeah, that was decimation. Good hold on the site from Chow. He was kind of the anchor there for XROCK, and a couple of the other shots just come through from, you know, spam through the smoke. Rotation came in from Sunny as well through the alley. Pretty good setup in the end from XROCK, and this time they look like they want to really fight for mid control. 3 players dedicated to that, expecting a faster play from Vincit, but it will not come. And in fact, Vincit are lurking their way in through the alley. They'll change things up in this round and go direct into A, putting the pressure onto Yang and Lee.
It's going to be an explosive play onto site, but Vincit Gaming just completely destroys all of the defenders on site. Now it's already down to Chow, and Xie for the retake. It's a 4-on-2, and they don't have any utility really to help crack this one. They've got 1 flash. Looks like maybe a couple smokes to work with, but there's just no safe way into this. You can see they're trying to sneak in on the edges of these smokes, but it's just not going to happen. Danimal finds the first. Chow now left alone. 1 versus 4, and just all of Vincit swinging onto him. Get it done, and Danimal, you can hear the energy here. They are ready to go.
Yeah, they don't mess around with the energy level when they get the wins, at least. Definitely a generally calm playing team, but I like the way they're being pretty aggressive here on Mexico early. They're really playing with the tempo and keeping XROCK guessing in terms of exactly, you know, what angle they're going to come through. It feels like every round there's a new kind of strategy or angle angle of attack that they're going for, and it's been good so far. I have to say, one of these maps where playing from the Blacklist side first can be very difficult, but they've managed it so far pretty well.
Well, Chow's going to be tested again. I like that push into A because you're testing the weaker members, but Chow here feels like he's one of the stronger members of the team. Still will go down. Hummel is low, and Nade could finish him off. It doesn't look like one's going to land on him, though. And where from here for Vincit Gaming? Certainly if the extra entry goes on to A, they'll go in that direction, but instead, Yang finds that kill onto Borson, and it's over to B for Vincit Gaming. XROCK have completely given that site. GM might be able to find a cheeky frag here if someone walks past his crosshair, but now that the smoke is starting to bloom, that'll become even more difficult.
He still wants to take this fight, though. But you've got to hand it to Borson, getting that stall, keeping them on that A bomb site. They had no idea this rotation was coming through, and now they only have half time to get in, clear the site, and defuse the bomb, and they're still taking extra time to set up this utility. Now it's going to be up to the Vincit Gaming members to hold on, and they're going to do that to perfection. Eagles able to find 2, make it a 3K, and Vincit Gaming, even on the Blacklist side, they are now out in front.
Damn. Light up.
Yeah, I mean, they're ahead after 5 rounds from the Blacklist side of Mexico. Things are going swimmingly for their map choice. And maybe now XROCK will consider a timeout sometime soon. Turns out that it worked out decently well for VG. But yeah, that round was great as well. They got in there so quickly underneath water that even Chow, who was one of the guys that was meant to stop that kind of push, was a bit late to the party, did not win the 1v1, and it kind of got blown open from there. And Mexico, you know, if you're on GR side and you kind of have everything in front of you and everything's kind of predictable, it can be, it is very strong from that side. But if everything's kind of going wild and Vincit are in control, then it becomes a lot more difficult.
You got to hand it to Eagles as well on this map so far. It's not easy to drop that and be equally impactful with an M4 in your hands, and he's currently already on 5 kills himself, and honestly, he was the crucial player in that last round as well. That 2K, actually 3K to hold on to the post plant was really everything they needed to get the lead early on. And knowing this is a very GR-sided map, if they can get even 4 here, they're going to be feeling really good about their chances at taking this first one away. But right now, there's a lot of pressure in mid. But XROCK, they're just taking their time, playing this one extremely safe. And they don't seem too eager as a team to push for mid control.
Well, neither team really doing a whole lot of that in this round. It's just an exchange of util. Could end up being an A split from Vincit Gaming here with the setup they've got. Couple pushing in through sewer if they can find their way in toward mid while the other three go A. The A split, pretty dangerous. Obviously, you open yourself up to a crossfire from those B players if they're rotating over. But in the end, it might just have been one member left there in the sewer as a lurk. Eagles, ooh, he's been spotted out. I don't know that he saw Sonny there, though. So that'll be information for XROCK, but still turns around and deals with him accordingly. This is a nice setup for Vincit Gaming. They're getting those numbers down nicely until Chow arrives and finds the double. He's still alive as well, by the way, and Eagles can't land the shot. So another one on the board for XROCK as they keep themselves above water.
Yeah, bit of a tough decision there on that mid execution. I feel like they just weren't quite ready to trade, even though they had the numbers to win that fight. And I almost feel like for Vincit Gaming, I'd be going right back to this A bomb site. I feel like their burst aggression attacks are what works so well for them on this map. If they just try and slowly ease into it, XROCK, they're always prepared for that.
Speaking of which, looking very similar to a couple of rounds ago. Bit of an A rush through the alley as flashes are coming over the top. Couple flashes here. Nice set play from last time. Lee's totally flashes, no idea, but Young is able to hold it down for just a little bit. Picks up 2. He's going to pick up 3. Finally gets cleared out, but that's enough time for them to get the defense on this A site.
Yeah, a little bit of an unfortunate one for Danimals there, right? The flashes looked really good, and he was able to get so deep onto the site, but couldn't really find anyone to entry frag. Both players were tucked, and they survived long enough to kind of allow the rotation to come across from XROCK, and that gave them more than enough time to trade down effectively. Now it's on to Kaney. Well, not going to happen in this instance, so XROCK actually taking the lead. Although bearing in mind they are on the GR side, so just in terms of both teams where they're sitting at the moment for this half, it kind of feels like they're at the par score.
Yeah, it's definitely on track for a pretty normal scoreline here, but I feel like in that last round, they actually had the right idea. They just had nobody in position to clear out Yang's position. He was just able to isolate 3 different 1v1s, even though most of Vincit Gaming was already on the A bomb side. He just tucked himself away perfectly and wasn't able to be traded effectively. So I feel like even though that didn't work out well for them, if they just make a few minor changes, that A push should still work out.
Yeah, and you see this time around, Eagles is going to hop back onto the Alm. For now, he is taking a look underneath to see maybe, you know, after all these rounds, one person's going to try their luck and maybe he can get a nice pick off there. But I like the composure from the side of XROCK actually to just stay calm. They're not really mixing anything up too much. They're feeling the pressure and responding pretty well. They've taken the last couple of rounds. I say that and they're kind of got a couple of guys here in mid. They might look for something, but it looks like for now just a stack in mid, maybe trying to defend this area of the map this time around.
Yeah, it is going to be tough, though. They've burned a lot of their smokes earlier on this position, so they're going to have to go in for a pick sooner or later. It's almost better for the GR team to go for an info play on this mid-prep position before the BL team commits to this push, because if you let them pass that single box in mid, it's so much favorable for the BL side to win it. But you can see they try and bait out the pick, but it's actually going to be a team nade. I don't think we've seen a team nade in ages, but it is going to be an impressive one, none the least, to give Vincit Gaming the advantage.
Disappointing indeed for XROCK. Might still be able to salvage this round though. Sunny and Lee to combine, and XROCK are looking for 5. Vincit Gaming with 30 seconds left on the clock have to fight their way back into mid to retrieve that C4, but Yang is standing tall. 9 and 5 now for the map, but he does get to 10, double digits in the first half. And opens the door up for XROCK to find a 6-3 and look pretty decisive. Gia doesn't seem too disappointed by the fact that he naded himself. Having a bit of a laugh about it. That's all you really can do. This is good. I think XROCK have really started to accelerate off the back of Yang. It was Chow and Jia who started pretty well, but now Yang and Sunny actually kind of picking the pace up as well, which is a little bit of a better sign that it's not just the two kind of pulling it all the way through for XROCK.
Yeah. Again, I really like the composure. I think that you could have easily, if you were a weaker-minded team, kind of gotten run over a bit too many times by VG and just essentially not be able to handle the pressure, but they've stayed calm and they have mixed up their positioning as well to respond to it in pretty good spots. And now Vincit are like, well, we can't really push into mid. We failed the last time we tried to rush into A. They're not giving us mid essentially for free anymore. What are we going to do here? There's also, as we can see, a couple of guys looking underneath, so that's not even really a great option for this round. Although a couple of guys are considering maybe a flank coming in, but it's not happening. So yeah, Vincit gonna run out the clock here once again, kind of go back to that tried and true Mexico strategy, which is wait a minute and a half and then make a decision. Wait for a bunch of smokes to come out and then, you know, try to use your utility to break through.
Oh, this map, man. That's a great nade, though.
Ow.
Yeah, very solid nades coming out from XROCK, and now you are going to see Vincit going through for that mid-control play, but again, all XROCK has to do is keep them trapped in mid. They don't actually have to take the fight here. They fall back. Now they can play the sites, and now Vincit Gaming has even less time to full commit with here. But this time, they are going to be going back to the A bomb site. They've got 4 players grouped up here in the alleyway. They've got Danimal on the lurk in mid, just trying to distract and call for the rotators. Look at that nade as well. It actually surprisingly didn't do too much onto Yang. It looked perfect placement-wise, but they still have to clear out this site a little bit more thoroughly this time around. Here we have it, though. It is going to be, again, one player in the back of site just completely shatters the push. It's 3 kills for Lee, and XROCK take the half 6-3.
You're kidding me. What a shot from him. It was Lee, right, in the back of the site. Gets a 3K. And gives that 6th round over to XROCK. It was, yeah, I mean, it's, that is this the team nade from G.
Did it to himself.
Yeah. Sometimes you're your own worst enemy.
Mm-hmm.
But I was going to say, it seemed like Vincit were like really competitive actually, and if not maybe even a little bit stronger on this map than XROCK were, but that's potentially changing up that storyline, especially now with this second half starting so well for XROCK. A 6-3 scoreline is more than enough to win from on the Blacklist side, particularly if you can just snake away a quick first Blacklist round and go up 7-3. Gives you a lot of time to play with and a lot of time to adapt.
Can still be tough, though. There's so much utility advantage on the GR side here that Vincit Gaming has to work with. Even in a 4-on-5 situation, a lot of these sites are very narrow passages you have to go through to grab a good control position to get that bomb down. So I wouldn't say the round's necessarily over just yet. If I was them, I'd probably stack a lot more of that attention towards the A bomb side. It is the harder of the two to go for a retake on, but you can see XROCK, they are setting up the mid-smoke and flash here. This is going to get them mid-control at the very least. There's no one contesting it, though, for Vincit Gaming, so not a ton of value to be found out of this utility, but it does set them up nicely to go for the B execute.
Yeah, absolutely could happen. Danimal is just going to be the one guy over on B. Everybody else, you know, you got Borzen looking underneath, a couple of guys on A, but this looks like a B execute all the way. As some flashes come over the top. There is one guy, Lee, over on the stairs in the alley. That's a nice entry. Couple entries here from Chow to get them basically free entry into that B site. Lee also getting the straggler over on A, and they could go anywhere.
They were literally rotating A at that point. They're like, yeah, we just go A because the last guy's on B. Obviously, they get the kill anyway before it matters, but decisive first round from XROCK, and all that discussion around Vincit and how they've looked in this event so far might not quite come to pass, because the 7-3 so far is looking very decisive for XROCK. And it really doesn't look like looking like it's going to slow down either. GDSC has gone a bit missing here for Vincit. Sunny can't quite do too much there, and actually Lee not able to find the favorable trade, so much better from Vincit. A bit of aggression getting pushed out. Gives them the numbers advantage.
Yeah, and this is really the hard part of BL Mexico. It's such a tough map to convert rounds when you don't have the numbers on, just because positionally it can be a little awkward to push forward on this map if you're a blacklist side player. So I feel like right now Vincit is in a really good position to start clawing back into this half. It does tend to lean pretty heavily in favor of the GR as well, so it's really not the worst position they could be in. I mean, 3 rounds on the blacklist side isn't quite what they would have wanted, but it's still a position where many teams tend to win out from, just because it can be a little bit more comfortable to try and close on this side of the map for most teams. But look at Kaney there. He whiffs the spray down. You can see the trade quickly coming through, however, to keep the numbers in favor of Vincit.
Yeah, I like the idea from Gia to try to just get the flick himself and get aggressive, because he saw like just the leg and he knew he would be alone there and potentially just get a 1 for 0. Now they know where Eagles is. They're trying to isolate him with some smoke in the door. Can they take him out? Eagles is surviving for so long, and Borzin comes in from behind, and it takes just a little bit too long to clear out. Eagles very nicely done on the defense that time around. Trying to claw their way back here from the GR side is Vincit. XROCK, as you mentioned, Elfish, they got that 1 round right at the start. That kind of gives them a lot of room to breathe and say, okay, just 3 rounds. Let's try to see what they're doing. Let's try to adapt. But that time around, that early pick from the side of Vincit really gave them that extra buffer to eventually go ahead and win the round.
So they're going to go for that mid pick again, or sorry, the sewer pick again, and not quite find it this time around. And Lee also watching for that push from Vincit in the alley, but neither really eventuating here for XROCK, so both of their initial ideas in this round haven't really played out the way they'd have liked them to. So what's plan B going to end up being? Perhaps just your tried and true mid-take. Bit of damage off that nade, nothing really too substantial. But Yang going to lead the charge, and I don't think he's a bad man to do it. Hitting a lot of good shots. Another nade over the top. This time it doesn't land onto Vincit. You're getting some pressure in there from Lee as well. Doesn't quite spot out Danimal. Didn't expect them to be dulled up behind the boxes, and maybe they don't think there's a third on the side, but even still the trades come through okay. Borson and Eagles both locked out behind a bunch of smokes, both in mid and at the doors. Now having to secure a 2-on-3 retake to keep the dream alive for Vincit on map 1. 8-4 would be a difficult one to come back from, even on the global risk side.
Yeah, for Borson here as well, he's got a tough position to try and clear, and he doesn't get the spot onto it either. It should be a free kill for XROCK, and now it's a 1-on-3. Eagles, he's got no time to work with. He hasn't gained any ground, and it's just going to be a nice double kill from GA to get it done.
Yeah, just so confident there after getting that first kill, just to go for the next one, knowing that he pretty much had nothing to lose. Lots of time bought. But yeah, this entry was pretty big from Yang. Gets the first one and gets up and over the box. There's enough confusion as they make their way in to basically isolate a couple of the guys. You saw Danimal behind the box trying to desperately stop them from coming in the front door. But eventually just overpowering from the side of XROCK, and a very nice entry to essentially get them in the round with that easy cleanup later on. And now 8-4. Just 2 away for XROCK, showing pretty good momentum here on their opponent's map pick.
I mean, this is where I'm curious to see if they've made those adjustments, because this is the scoreline where they kind of faltered in their first couple of games and struggled to cross that finish line. But again, they do find themselves in a nice early lead for a 3rd map in a row, so it's not a bad position here. But Borzen, he's going to be playing the jump spot on water. He's going to catch them coming out, but he still has to find the timing to react. Borzen, though, he can't get the follow-up shot. Chow takes him down. Danimal goes down as well, and things again are falling apart for Vincit Gaming.
Yeah, Kaney around the corner gets a critical frag to kind of keep things interesting, and GDSC also has one, but either way, Plan's going down on B. And XROCK are going to be able to set up a nice post plan here. All 3 players have a lot of space to work with. There's a smoke as well, keeping Kaney at bay. And GDSC is still a long way away from being able to make this rotation. He's still kind of worried about pushing through those doors. There was a smoke in his way. Wasn't sure if XROCK had vacated the area. Tries to take a 1v1 and will go down. And so it's on to Kaney, who, I mean, good luck at that point. It is map point for XROCK.
Yeah, and they have kind of proven that they are the better team on this map. Vincit came out guns a-blazing from the Blacklist side that, again, you know, they decided to take this map and start with the Blacklist side, obviously knowing that XROCK would choose GR first. Started out okay, but XROCK have slowly made the gap pretty apparent, although this time around, nice snipe from Eagles. Chow does trade one back onto Kaney here, as XROCK trying to come in a bit quicker on this round. Danimal trying to, okay.
Doing his best Gia impression there.
Not the first time, yeah, that's like the third time. Happened, I think, earlier with 3BL as well.
Gia just a little bit too predictable on this Blacklist side. That was the third round now that he's gone for the pick from Sewers, and Vincit relatively well aware of it. You can kind of tell even from the previous round, they threw a flash in there. No one was crossing late. So they're pretty accustomed to that setup, though. A late push in could catch Danimal's on the timing. He walks around the corner. There's 3 players watching him. It's a firing squad. The choice is to go toward the A site, though, which is being held by a couple of members, and the flash is getting dumped in. Actually end up maybe being a bit more of a fake than anything else, because Sunny with the bomb is potentially going to take this 1v1 against Eagles. He almost found the timing there. Still does, in fact, as Eagles will miss the shot. And Sunny, he will be free to get the plant down on B. So that is bad news for Vincit. This could be the map for XROCK.
Yeah, I mean, right now, GDSC has to be the one to try and take down Chow. He's in between both players. It's only going to be a 1-for-1, though. It's not enough. GDSC has to move very quickly to get this 1 versus 2 to go his way, but there's players just tucked in these corners he's going to have to deal with on both sides of the site. GDSC, though, the double peek comes in against him, and that will be the map. XROCK, they take it 10-4.